After driving 9 hours straight just to be there for my family's big celebration, my dad looked me dead in the eye over dinner and said, "You're nothing but a disgrace. All you ever do is take. You've never brought this family a single moment of pride. If you have any self-respect left, leave this house and don't come back." My mom pretended not to hear. My brother rolled his eyes and kept scrolling on his phone. I didn't respond. Just got up and walked out. That night, I slept alone in my car behind a gas station. Years later, my phone blew up with his calls and messages, and I couldn't help but laugh. He finally got what I'd done. So, I'm just going to dump this because not gonna lie, I still can't believe this happened. And I keep replaying it in my head like some kind of glitch in a game that nobody patches. It started with this weird text from my mom, just like, "Hey, don't forget to bring something sweet for dessert," but then a weird follow-up. "Do you need gas money?" And I just ignored that because that's so not her. Anyway, I'd already been planning to drive out for the big family thing for like a month. I mean, they hyped it up like it was going to be this huge deal, and it's not like I had anything better to do that weekend except maybe rest, which to be honest I needed after this trash week, but whatever. Family's family, right? So, this is like 9 hours straight on the highway from my apartment to their place. Traffic sucked. My Spotify kept pausing. And by the end, I was just pounding energy drinks and trying not to drift off. Pulled up at like 5 p.m. sun already low. Whole house lit up like a commercial. But something immediately felt off. I swear every time I go home, it's like they all got this group chat I'm not in. My brother Jacob's car is in the driveway. And he always parks in the street, so I was like, oh, he must have actually made an effort for once. Ugh. I walk in carrying this giant box of pastries because I remembered Mom's text. And literally no one helps me. Just a quick hey from the living room. Brother's on the couch, legs up, scrolling his phone, just glances at me like I'm the mailman, not his sibling. Mom's in the kitchen acting all busy, banging cabinets around, and Dad's just standing at the kitchen island, arms crossed, staring at the window like he's waiting for a weather report. I put the box down and he doesn't say anything, just this weird grunt. Then he points at the clock and says, "So nice of you to finally show up like I drove 9 hours for fun. Not even a how was the drive or glad you made it." I just shrug it off. He's been like this since I was a teenager. Always something I did wrong. Never what I did right. I know why, too. He always wanted me to be like him, do things his way, join his little empire. But I never wanted that life. He acts like because I'm not him, I'm somehow less. I get it. I just don't care anymore. Mom's putting out plates and she keeps telling me to wash my hands like I'm 12. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Just go along. Jacob's still glued to his phone, probably tweeting, I don't know. He barely looks up. Then Dad starts making these little comments about real men knowing how to fix things. Not just tap on a screen all day. And I know that's about me, but I don't bite. I just laugh it off. He does this every time I come home. Like he needs to remind everyone who's boss. Dinner finally starts, and it's supposed to be this celebration for my cousin graduating. But the whole vibe is just off. Food's good. I'll give Mom that. But every time I try to talk to my brother, he just shrugs and goes back to his phone. Dad keeps making these little digs about some people not pulling their weight, some people always needing help. And I'm like, is this a joke? I bought groceries for them last time I was here. I fixed their Wi-Fi. I literally set up every single one of their online accounts. Because Dad refuses to learn, but I just keep my mouth shut. Because I know if I say anything, it'll get worse. Then, out of nowhere, Dad just slams his fork down loud enough that everyone jumps. He leans across the table, looks right at me, and starts in on this speech. Says, I'm nothing but a disgrace. All I do is take from the family. Never brought them a single moment of pride. If I have any self-respect left, I should just leave and not come back. And he's not even yelling, just this cold, flat voice like he's reading the news. I just sit there staring at him like, is this real? Mom doesn't say a word, just keeps refilling his water like she didn't hear anything. Jacob rolls his eyes and goes back to scrolling, like it's background noise. I look at my mom, waiting for her to say something, but she just avoids my eyes. My brother sigh like he's tired of the drama. I try to say something, but my mouth is dry, so I just stand up and push my chair back. I don't even take my jacket. I just walk out. Dad doesn't move, just starts eating again. As I walk out, Jacob mutters something about me always making things difficult. I slam the front door so hard the windows rattle. It's freezing outside, but I don't care. I just keep walking down the street for a while. I call a couple friends. Nobody picks up. Probably busy. I sit on the curb for a bit, just scrolling my phone, watching the likes come in on a random meme I posted earlier. I could go back in, but I know it's pointless. They'll just act like nothing happened, or worse, say I'm too sensitive. I end up walking back to my car, which I parked behind this gross little gas station a block away, because there was no room in their driveway. I get inside, slam the door, and just sit there. I text my mom just asking if she's okay. She leaves me on read. I text Jacob. Nothing. I scroll through my group chats, but nobody's really around. So, I just sit there watching cars go by, listening to random podcasts, trying not to think about how pissed off I am. Around midnight, a cop taps on my window, asks if I'm okay. I just say I'm waiting for a friend, which is true, I guess, if you count myself. He tells me to move along, so I drive to a different lot and just crash in the backseat using my jacket as a pillow. Not exactly the homecoming I pictured. I keep replaying Dad's face in my head that looked like he was daring me to fight back. He's always hated that I don't take his crap, that I don't need him. I know he thinks I'm weak, because I don't do things his way. Don't act like him. Don't want the stuff he wants. He's always been like this ever since I was old enough to say no. I scroll through my phone again, thinking about all the stuff I've done for them. All the times I bailed them out of some tech disaster, fixed their accounts, kept his little online world running. He acts like I'm a burden, but he never mentions who set up his whole digital life. It's like he wants to erase the parts of me that don't fit his image. I finally fall asleep around 3. Headlights flashing through the windows every few minutes. And when I wake up, my back hurts and my phone's at 5%. I check my texts, nothing from anyone. I just sit there for a while watching the sun come up and decide I'm not going back. Not this time, not ever again. And for real. I'm done letting him act like he gets to decide what I'm worth. They wanted me gone so bad. Fine. Let's see how they handle it when I actually leave. Next part's going to get messy. I promise. Update 1. Waking up in the backseat of my car with my neck at some weird angle. Not gonna lie. That was a new low for me. I just sat there for a while watching some dude power wash the pavement like it was a normal Tuesday or whatever, just trying to figure out if I was supposed to feel mad or just tired. My phone was at 4%. I had like 3 texts, all from group chats, nothing from family. Classic. The thing that really got me was the way my mom texted later that morning. Total whiplash. Just hope you got some sleep. There's coffee if you want to come in. Like everything was normal. Like last night never even happened. I just stared at it for a bit. Reread it and closed my messages. I don't know what I expected. I mean, she's been doing this forever. Just pretending things are fine so she doesn't have to get in the middle. It's not new. It just felt extra stupid. Now, I went to a McDonald's and got coffee and a breakfast sandwich and just scrolled on my phone. I started typing something a few times like, "Hey, that was seriously messed up." Or, "I'm not coming back, but I just deleted it." There was this old guy in the booth next to me watching some sports highlights really loud, and to be honest, it was almost comforting. Like, at least there's a universe where people just care about stupid stuff. I checked my email out of habit and saw a couple notifications about password changes. That's when it hit me like I actually have the keys to everything for my family. Not just the Netflix or whatever, but all their real stuff. Dad's website, his little online store, the home Wi-Fi, the smart lock on their garage, the calendar my mom uses for everything. I set it all up. Because no one else could be bothered to learn any of it. Jacob never even tried. Just sent me login to fix stuff. When it broke, I started getting this little itch in my brain. Not like, ooh, I'm going to get revenge. More like, why am I letting them have all this access when they treat me like I don't exist? Not even a text to see if I'm alive. I started pulling up all the accounts just to see what was what. I thought about just deleting myself from everything. But then I remembered how Dad acts when he can't log into something. He loses it. Blames everyone else. Last time he yelled at Mom for like an hour because the router needed a restart. So I started with the basics. I logged into the family calendar and took myself off all the recurring stuff. No more reminders for me to pay the phone bill. No more notifications about Jacob's appointments. Nothing. Then I went through the shared streaming stuff and took off my payment info. Not petty, just not paying for them anymore. But then I remember Dad's whole side hustle he brags about. The thing is, it's not really his. I built the site. I set up the payment systems. I run all the updates. He literally just sends me stuff to post and takes credit for the business. And every time someone asks for help with it, he tells them I'm too busy or not reliable. Meanwhile, he's making money and acting like he's the tech genius. So, I checked the site stats and yeah, he'd posted a bunch of new stuff since I'd been gone. Orders coming in, payment requests, all the usual. I just stared at it for a while, thinking, why am I still doing this for him? He told me to leave and not come back, so why am I still making his life easier? I put my phone down for a bit and just sat in the car. Thought about driving home, but like, what's the point? I don't have to do any of this anymore. I don't owe them anything. Jacob's not going to step up. Mom's just going to ignore it. Dad's going to freak out and blame me. But he made that bed, right? So, I started making changes. Nothing wild. Just switching stuff back to my own email, changing passwords, revoking old devices. I left a note on the website saying, site under maintenance. Check back soon. I took down the payment page, not deleting anything, not sabotaging, just pausing. I checked the business email and there were already a couple confused customers. So, I replied and said there'd be a delay. Polite, not dramatic. My phone buzzed. Jacob finally, but all he said was, are you coming back for dinner or what? Not even a question about last night. I just replied, not today. He sent a thumbs up. That was it. I got a call from Mom. I let it ring out. Then another third one I picked up just to see if she'd finally say something real. She just started in with, your dad didn't mean it. He was just tired, you know how he gets. I said, yeah, I know. She said, can you at least fix the Wi-Fi before you go? I hung up. I started packing up everything in my phone, every account, every login. I realized I still had access to the smart lock on the garage, so I changed that, too. Not locked them out, just took my access off. I'm not their backup anymore. Dad can figure it out himself. The best part was when I checked my email later and saw a password reset request from Dad for his own site. He couldn't get in. I ignored it. He texted me just, what did you do to my website? I didn't answer. A couple minutes later, another text. You're always making things difficult. Just like at dinner last night. I didn't answer that either. I drove halfway home and stopped at a rest area to eat. Got a call from an unknown number. Didn't pick up. Checked my messages later and it was Dad using Mom's phone. Just call me back. We need to talk. I blocked the number. I scrolled through my socials and saw Jacob had posted a meme about family drama with a shrug emoji. I almost laughed, but then I just muted him. I'm not interested in letting them use me as the punchline anymore. I kept waiting to feel bad, like maybe this was too much. Maybe I should just fix everything and move on. But I didn't. I just felt done. Like actually done, not pretending. I got a text from a friend asking if I was around that night. And I said, yeah, let's hang. I showed up. We played Mario Kart for hours. Ate garbage food. Didn't talk about family once. Later that night, I checked the website again. Still down. I smiled. I know Dad's going to lose his mind, but honestly, That's his problem now. I'm not bailing him out anymore. I know he's going to try to guilt me or make Mom handle it, but I'm not playing that game. The thing is, he treats me like this because he can't control me. He can't stand that I don't need his approval, that I don't want what he wants, that I don't act like he does. He calls me a failure because it's easier than admitting he doesn't understand me. I used to care about that, but now I just see it for what it is, his problem, not mine. I'm not out here to ruin his life or anything. I'm just done making it easier. If he wants to run his little empire, he can figure out how to fix his own mess for once. I'm not coming home. I'm not fixing it. And I'm not apologizing for finally defending myself. Next part's probably going to get ugly. Not going to lie. He has no idea how much he relied on me until now. Let's see how long he lasts without his disgrace around to clean up after him. Update 2. So, I didn't even make it a full 24 hours before the first meltdown happened. Woke up to a bunch of missed calls from Mom, couple from Dad, one from Jacob that was just a string of question marks. I didn't bother answering any of them. Figured they could stew for a bit. I grabbed coffee, scrolled through my notifications, and just watched it all play out like I was watching someone else's life on TikTok. It started with Dad. He tried to log into his site and couldn't get in because I changed the admin and locked him out. So, he called me, then texted me, then blew up the family group chat. First, he tried the "I need your help. Something broke. Can you fix it?" angle. Then when I didn't bite, he switched to blaming me, saying I sabotaged him. Classic. I just muted the chat and kept eating my breakfast sandwich. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Mid-morning, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Mom using her friend's phone trying to get me to call Dad. She said, "He's really upset. You know how he gets. Just fix it so we can move on." I stared at it for a while, then deleted it. I know how he gets. That's the problem. By noon, Jacob started chiming in. He sent me a DM on Insta, said, "Dad's losing it. Can you just give him the password? He's making Mom cry." I replied, "He told me to leave." Jacob left me on read, then posted a story about family drama is so boring. I swear, dude thinks everything is just content. I spent the rest of the day making sure everything was tight. All the login changed, all the passwords reset, business emails under my control, customer orders paused. I didn't delete anything, didn't touch the money, just made it so Dad couldn't do a thing without me. I checked the customer inbox and saw a couple people asking why the store wasn't processing orders. I replied, "Just said technical issues. We'll update soon." Not his circus anymore. Around 4 o'clock, Dad called again. This time, I picked up just to see what he'd say. He didn't even start with hello. Just went straight into, "What did you do to my site? You're making things hard for everyone. Stop acting like a child." I said, "You told me to leave and not come back." He said, "You know I didn't mean it. You always take things too far. Just fix it." I didn't say anything, just hung up. He called back. I let it go to voicemail. About an hour later, I got a text from Jacob. He said, "If you don't fix this, Dad's going to shut off your old phone line." I laughed. I switched to my own plan years ago. "Nice try, bro." Then he said, "You're ruining everything just because you're mad." I just sent a thumbs up that night. I got a message from one of Dad's business friends. He said, "Hey, your dad said you're causing problems with his store. What's going on?" I said, "I'm not involved anymore. Sorry." He just said, "Wow, messy." Yeah, no kidding. The next morning, Mom called again. This time, I could hear Dad in the background yelling about how I was ungrateful, how he did everything for me, how I owe him. Mom said, "Can't you just help him? At least this once?" I said, "He made his choice. Now he can deal with it." She started crying, then hung up. I just stared at my phone for a while, then put it face down on the table for the next couple days. It was this weird standoff. Dad tried every angle. Guilt, threats, even tried to reset the site by calling the hosting service, but everything was under my name, so they wouldn't help him. Jacob tried to play both sides, saying just fix it and move on, but then also posting memes about can't trust anyone these days. I don't think he even realized how much work I did to keep everything running. I started getting messages from customers asking for refunds, saying they'd go to a competitor if the site wasn't up soon. I forwarded the emails to Dad just to let him stew in it. He replied, "You're going to regret this. You're throwing away your family for nothing." I didn't bother responding. One night, Dad showed up at my apartment. I heard banging on the door, opened it, and there he was, red-faced, breathing hard. He tried to push past me, but I blocked him. He yelled, "You're going to fix this right now. I'm not leaving until you do." I said, "You told me to leave, so I left." He tried to grab my phone. I pushed his arm away. He slapped the wall, then stormed off down the hall, slamming the stairwell door. I just locked the door and went back to my room after that. He stopped calling for a while. I guess he figured I wouldn't budge. Mom texted sometimes. Just little things. "Hope you're okay. Let us know if you need anything." I didn't answer. Jacob just went back to ignoring me, acting like nothing happened. Business friends stopped messaging after I said I was out. Weeks went by, then months. I kept tabs on the site just to make sure nothing got hacked, but otherwise, I didn't touch it. I saw Dad tried to set up a new site, but it looked like garbage. No orders, no traffic, nothing. People left reviews saying, "Don't bother." Never got my stuff. Total mess. I almost felt bad. Almost the weirdest part was how fast everyone just moved on. I started hanging out with friends more, got into new hobbies, stopped thinking about family stuff so much. Every once in a while, I'd get a random message from Mom or Jacob, just checking in. Never from Dad. He was radio silent then, like clockwork. Around the holidays, Mom called and said, "Dad wants to talk." I said, "I'm busy." She said, "He misses you." I said, "He misses having someone to do everything for him." She hung up. So, yeah. I guess this is what happens when you finally stop letting people walk all over you. Dad got exactly what he wanted. Me gone. Out of his house, out of his business, out of his way. Now he gets to run it all alone. Let's see how he likes it. Not going to lie, it's not even about revenge anymore. It's just about not being the family scapegoat. But I know, Dad. He's not going to let it go. Not really. And when things start to really fall apart, when the money dries up and the customers vanish, he'll come crawling back. And this time, I'm not picking up next part. You'll see what happens when someone finally realizes just how bad they messed up. I'm not done yet. Final update. So, you ever get that feeling when you just know you're right, like deep down, and you wait for everyone else to catch up? It's wild how long that actually takes. I didn't expect the fallout to drag on this long, honestly. I moved on, got my own thing going. New friends. Actually started enjoying weekends for once. But then last week, my phone went nuts. Calls, texts, emails, even a couple DMs from numbers I didn't have saved. I checked and just started laughing. It was all from Dad. It started small. An email popped up. Subject line in all caps. Help needed. I ignored it. Because I recognized the old pattern. He only asks when it's urgent for him, never for anyone else. But then I started getting texts too, like urgent. Call me back. I need your help with the business. I scrolled through and saw he'd tried every number I'd ever used. Then I saw he'd sent the same thing to my backup email, the one I barely use except for old stuff. Dude was desperate. Then Jacob tried to FaceTime me, which he never does. I let it ring out. Then he just sent a text. "Dad's having a meltdown. It's your fault. Can you fix this and make him stop yelling?" I didn't answer. I scrolled through group chats, saw Jacob complaining that Dad ruined the family business and now everyone's broke. I nearly spat out my coffee, so I finally called Mom just to see what she'd say. She sounded tired, like she hadn't slept. She said, "Your dad's been at the computer for 3 days. He's calling everyone you ever met. He says, only you can fix this." I said, He told me to leave, remember? She went quiet, then said, please just talk to him. I hung up. The real kicker was when I checked the old business email and saw messages from clients one after another saying they were cancelling orders, switching to a different provider or asking for refunds. I could see Dad had tried to reply, but it was all a mess. Misspelled, links broken, sometimes no answer at all. I got this dumb satisfaction from it. Not gonna lie then, totally out of nowhere. Dad showed up at my apartment again. This time he brought Jacob. I heard them arguing in the hall before I even opened the door. Dad was saying, he's doing this on purpose. He wants to see us fail. Jacob kept saying, just apologize. It's not that hard. When I opened the door, Dad tried to push in again, but I blocked him. I said, what do you want? He said, you need to fix what you broke. I said, you told me to leave, so I left. Jacob said, this is stupid. Can you just help him so we can get out of here? Dad started yelling about money, about how I'm selfish, about how I'm tearing the family apart. I just stood there. Then he tried to grab my phone out of my hand. So, I shoved him back. He slapped the door frame and then started cussing like that was going to scare me. Jacob just stood there looking embarrassed like he wanted to be anywhere else. I said, you need to leave. Dad tried to argue. I just repeated it. Jacob finally grabbed his arm and pulled him away. They left, slamming the stairwell door so hard the neighbor yelled at them through the wall. After that, it was just non-stop. Dad tried to get legal help. Tried to call the hosting service. Tried to get into accounts, but it was all under my name, all set up by me, all legit. He tried to guilt-trip Mom into calling me again. She left a voicemail just saying, I know things are bad, but can't you just help him this once? I deleted it. I think what really got him was losing money. Customers bailed, reviews tanked. He started posting these desperate messages on the business socials like, site down, please call me directly. And just put his cell number out there. I watched him flail for weeks. At some point, Jacob tried to set up a new site for him, and it looked like a middle school project. 0 orders, 0 traffic. I guess they thought they'd just rebuild it all from scratch, but it never happened. People started talking. Old family friends posted stuff on Facebook about how sad it was to see the business fall apart, how things were better before. I got a couple messages from relatives saying, can't you just help your dad? He's struggling. I ignored everyone. Not my circus anymore. What's funny is I started getting these little glimpses into how much Dad actually depended on me. Not just for the tech stuff, but for everything. He never learned how anything worked. Never bothered to remember a password. Never listened when I explained how to fix an issue. He always wanted to be the big man, but only if someone else did the work. The second I stopped, it all fell apart. My friends asked, don't you feel bad? And yeah, I thought about it a couple times, but then I remembered that night at the dinner table, him looking me dead in the eye, telling me to get out and never come back. I remembered sleeping in my car behind a gas station, freezing just because I refused to let him treat me like garbage. I remembered the years of being the family's problem because I wouldn't fit the mold he wanted. So, nah, I didn't feel bad now. Years later, he's got nothing to show for it. Business gone, reputation shot, everyone realizing he was never the genius he claimed to be. Jacob moved out. Mom barely talks to anyone. The house is quieter than ever. I get the odd text now and then, but I don't answer. Dad tried again last week. Just a single line. Please, I need your help. I laughed when I saw it. He finally got what I'd done. I just stopped saving him from himself. Everything he built depended on me. The disgrace. The one who was never good enough for him. Now he gets to live with it. And for real. It's all the revenge I'll ever